Hey everybody, it's Erin, and I wanted to play with a new thing I got from my Designer Crafts Connections October product. We got two different products, both from Amazing Casting or Illuminate, by Illuminate, and this one is the resin casting, the high gloss resin. The other one was a molding situation, or molding. It's a way that you can take whatever objects, put it in a mold, and all of a sudden you have a mold to use for the resin, to use it for clay, whatever it may be. But I want to play with just the resin here for a minute. If you want to take a look up in the corner, that is my unboxing video, and I did play with both products, so you can kind of see how they're doing. For the Amazing Casting resin, these were my just kind of play with, let's see how they worked. And I learned a couple things. Number one, it takes about a good 2 to 3 days before it's fully set. And I tried two different things. This particular one, I put in all the beads and then I poured it in. And this one, I poured in the casting and then placed the beads. It really depends. I think I'm going to go with this method where I'm going to place all my objects and then pour the resin in versus doing this one, because I'm going to be pretty picky about how I'm going to place them in. The other thing is that these particular objects, and I am going to use them again, because I kind of like this idea, I've been stewing over it for a little while, is this had a hole, and I did put a piece of paper at the bottom, but everything seeped through and it got kind of tacky on the back. Now it's fine, but it took a long time for it to really set and dry without being tacky on my mat. And it got all over my mat, and it's still there, and now I can't get it up. So I've got this tacky thing on my mat. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take a little piece of my Renee paper. This is a foil paper. It's this paper right here, and I'm just punching out. I'm going to use some more of it during the project. I just punched out little flowers, and I'm gluing it to the bottom here to create a barrier. So now that it's glued on, it's not set yet. Now that it's glued in there, I'm going to let it dry. It's going to create hopefully a nice barrier, and it's going to be suctioned. It's not just a piece of paper that floats around. And I'm going to place some things on top of it. So the first step, and I'm just using Beacon Mixed Media glue, is I'm going to take all my little flowers. And notice I've got a ton of, way too much there. I really want to make sure that I'm getting it into and covering up my hole and not leaving a gap, so that way the resin doesn't seep through into the hole. If you notice, when I did my demo ones, I just did one medium-sized flower and one pocket watch, and these little framey things came from Prima. And I have some more of the pocket watches. I did a whole bunch of demos of these, and I have a ton left over. And then if you notice, I do have some other sizes of these little circles of the flowers. And they all have a hole, so I'm thinking we're going to turn these into pendants. But I just need to cover up that back hole so it doesn't cause a problem. So I'm going to glue these up real fast. Okay, you're probably wondering why I'm using a foil paper versus just regular paper. I mean, I did a whole bunch here. Number one, because it's a little firmer, and number two, because it's already got the metallic look, and I'm going to be adding more of it. So now I'm not competing with colors or trying to match a color. Some of it's going to get covered up, and that's absolutely fine, and some of it's going to get seen. Like this little guy, you're probably going to end up seeing parts of it, so why not? Now, the idea of doing this concept here kind of came from when I did these little guys right here. These are bottle caps, and I was filling them in, and I actually used the mixed media glue for this as my resin base. But it left some gaps. I didn't quite add enough, and it doesn't have this high luster quality to it. It just basically sealed in all the objects so they wouldn't fall out, which is great. I mean, it worked. It worked wonderfully because I didn't have anything else. I mean, this was kind of my alternative option, but if I could have filled this all the way in and really created a full coat with this, if I could have gone back in or added, but this is the only bottle of glue I had, so I didn't want to overdo my glue. But this is the premise for my concept. So check in the little corner, I will put the video for how I made these guys using the mixed media glue. But that was my inspiration for this. I had a second inspiration for these little guys because I went to a store and I happened to see a fun little project where it was a necklace, and it was a kind of this idea, but it was different. So I'm doing my riff between this concept and just kind of playing with the idea. So I'm going to assemble one with you right now, And I may pull out some other objects, kind of like I did here. I put some fun beads and stuff in here. This time I'm going to use more of a centerpiece object, kind of like these guys. So I think I'm going to use this as my key centerpiece. And I pulled some other fun things out as my focal point for each of these objects. Still haven't figured out the big guy, and I haven't figured out the little guy yet. So this guy, what I'm going to do right now, as I know my glue's not 100% dry, but it's pretty darn close, is I'm going to fill this in, and this is Diamond Dust by Floorcraft. It's really pretty. I used it in a lot of these guys over on the side here, and I'm just going to pour it in. Don't want to overdo it. And see, my flower is kind of covered up, and I'm fine with that. The whole point was not really to see the flower. It's just to cover up the hole. I then took the same gold paper, and this is gold on gold, and I used, where's my punch? Oh, it's right here. I used this punch, and this one is by McGill. This is called the Starburst, and I really love it. It's just really pretty. And I'm going to place this in here, just like that. And when I pour the resin in, it's going to end up encompassing all of it, and we're not going to be done. I also have some little gems and stuff that I thought I would line the outside of, not all of them. I'm going to kind of play and see which ones. Maybe definitely the big one, I'm probably going to line it, and maybe one of these guys. We'll have to see. And then I have this really pretty little angel here, and I'm sticking with all metallic colors for the most part. I just love the look of metallic on metallic. So I'm going to place my little angel right here in the center, and I know it's got a hole in the top, but I figure I could place a little gem in there. And I like that some of these little kind of starburst circles are kind of out there, and that's kind of the basis. And then we're going to cover that up with resin. So I'm going to create, and hopefully I don't hit and jiggle and whack this, but this is how I'm going to create each of them. I'm just getting rid of some of this extra diamond dust. Again, I may not use the diamond dust for all of them. I may grab some more of my little beads. I got tons of little beads. So I've got these little micro beads I think would look really pretty, especially on these guys, and then rest something on top. Some of the other pretty things, and the reason for all these blue ones is I was testing to see which punch I liked with which, and I love my Starburst, so I'm using that the most. I also pulled this guy, and I think I'm going to use it in here. And then I pulled a couple other papers. So this one's got the copper on one side. Oh no, that's light pink. Gold on the other. That's fine. Maybe we'll go with the light pink. I thought it was copper, but that's cool. And this one's got an embossed. See, it's already got some pretty, and it's in silver. So I thought maybe with some of the silver ones it'd be kind of cool, or maybe with the big guy. Let's see. And they all punch super easy. It is a metallic. Sorry. Sometimes they don't like to come out very easy. They get, because the deal with this paper is that once you bend it into shape, it stays. See? So it keeps its shape really well. So I thought I would play, you know what? Maybe we will play with two, and we'll do a gold one. Just playing with the colors, seeing what happens. And because the resin is going to keep the shape of whatever is there, I'm going to go ahead and play with the shape a little bit. I'm going to bend these up because it's going to keep the shape. And why not? You could put whatever you want in this because it's going to be set in resin. You could even put fresh, not fresh, you could put, like dried leaves, and it would get set in the resin, and it'd be really cool. There's a whole bunch of ideas here on this box. Like here they even took, I think, some, just a little bit of everything. You never know what you can make with it. And it can be poured over pictures. It's really kind of cool. We're going to open that up and pour after I've assembled all my things. So yeah. And now I can put a pretty gem in the middle. I'm going to cut the back off all these. I need to snap them off. So I'm going to find another one for that and keep adding in. I like this little guy right here. I think I'm going to add, maybe I'll do another color and have a special. I think I'm going to put the flower in that guy. I like that. So it's just, you're kind of assembling and figuring out what you want to do where. I have this pretty guy. Maybe we'll do the red. Ooh, that'd be pretty. That'd be gorgeous. And so it's really kind of spangled out there. And this one I can do the gold. So we'll punch another in gold. it's just playing, you know, seeing what you like. And then I got to decide what kind of bottom, like I want to rest them all in some sort of bead situation. There, so that's pretty. I just got to cut the backs off of them. So I'm going to keep playing and deciding which ones I want to put where and how I'm going to arrange all these and how I'm going to figure all this out. I also have, where's my other punch? This guy. So maybe I can play with this one too. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the biggest one first. And if you did notice, I'm gonna kind of pull out things. Grab a little tool. All right, so if you did notice, for part of these guys right here, none of the punches really just fit that great. I was kind of eyeballing, and I did a little bit before. So I took my Starburst punch and just cut the edges off and just cut around, and it's gonna get tucked into the pocket watch anyway. So now I have a custom punch shape, which is kind of fun. You're not going to see a lot of the punch, but it's going to be enough there. Some of the punches, I doubled it up. I'm also, because I was cutting and I got rid of the backs of all the buttons, I want to make sure that they're all clean and clear and there's nothing tucked in behind. So just kind of assembling my things. I did pull out some other beads and stuff. This guy's done, so I'm going to leave him alone. But I want to put whatever beady things in first, and then I'm going to place my punched stuff. So let's go with the big guy first. Push this guy out of the way. These are going to come down here. Center it up to the top. And what am I going to use? I'm going to use these little guys. It's very similar to the diamond dust, but these are little, what's the best way to describe it? These are like little balls. And so I'm going to cover in the bottom. And I don't mind if I still see the other thing. That's pretty cool. Because we're going to fill most of this up with the resin anyway. I think I'm going to put the silver down first because this is silver. Then place the gold on top. And place my button on top of that. You know what? I think I'm going to wait and I'm going to do the button after I've poured the resin and then place my button so it's kind of sitting on top. I don't know if I want to be embedded into the resin. We'll try it that way. It's going to be half in resin. So when I was playing with these guys, some of them did not get embedded into the resin, and I kind of like that. They're just kind of sitting on top and they're squished, but they're not fully encased. And so I think that's where I'm going to go with this guy. All right, for this one, and I am going to make sure I cover up all my things. Let's do this one because I've got the bronzy feel. These are just some little micro beads in bronze. I'm going to fill in the bottom. And you could even do more than one object inside the bottom. You could combine them. For one of them, I want to do this really pretty glitzy glimmer. All right, so again, because I've got this is silver, I'm going to put the silver on the bottom first. Off center it with this guy. And there we go. I kind of squished him a little bit and then place him, off center it just a bit. Part of why I like doing the resin second, and this one we'll try it. We'll embed it completely in, is now I can place exactly where I want to put my objects before I pour my resin in. Kind of sliding around the beads, that's fine. Oops. The beads are acting like a little slick object for this guy. And it's okay if it's all kind of, it keeps shifting on me. I may have to shift that again before I place it in. Okay, what am I going to do with this one? I've got the silver and silver, so let's do white. These are some other micro beads, and these are in white. Some of these are from Prima. These little micro beads here are from American Crafts. And again, I don't mind if the little, the first foil gets covered. That's not a problem. The whole purpose of that was just to cover up the hole. You can't see a whole lot of what I'm doing. Press this guy in. This is partly why I have my little poker doodad here. Shift it in. I'm going to tuck these guys into the pocket watch itself. So it's kind of got a little lip here. It looks like a pocket watch, but it's really whatever you want it to be. Center as best as I can, and I think I'm again going to put the resin in. So it looks like that. That's cool. I like that. I do want to get a little something to put on top of that angel head, and I might put a little something at the top of that cross too. Okay, so the next one we are going to, let's glam this one up. A little of these shimmery glimmer glass. Oh, you know what? That's silver though. I need to, oh, you know what? The silver will probably look better in this one because this is all silver, silver, silver. It's just too silvery. So we'll play with that. Let's put these guys in here again. This one look pretty. And just level it out. If you want to flare that little flower up, go for it. But now this guy, I think I'm going to rest in after I pour my resin. So I'm going to lay it next to it because it's kind of a fun, thicker one. So just play. I mean, that's what the whole point of this. There's no right or wrong to any of this mess. Okay, for this one, let's do the silver. I know we're doing gold, 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 and so let's add a contrasting color from behind. This pretty shimmery silver in the back. I'm gonna flare that guy up, and I am gonna embed all of this guy in. Not fully flat. Once we get the resin in there too, I can kind of play with how it's being placed. Ah, rats. Because even though I did clip it off, it's still got a little bit of a thing in there, so we're gonna do our best. So we'll have to fiddle with it a little bit once it gets inside. And then we'll go back to our diamond dust with this guy. So any colors would work. I'm just pretty much sticking with metallic-y colors and just over top the lid so I don't make a huge mess. Whoa, see? I'm glad I put the lid on there. And I still have barely put a dent in these guys. I have so much of these things. I mean, I've used these for a ton of projects and I still feel like I have so much. This is amazing clear class resin. It's a 2-part clear coat casting resin. There's an A and a B, and we have all these wonderful little cups here. And because I have quite a few little guys, I may end up making a couple of batches. Now I had some stir sticks. There they are, hiding under my foils. And there's a ton more colors of the foils, and I don't know if there's any other versions of this clear coat casting. It's a 1-for-1, so I mean basically you could go in and you could create these any colors. I really was trying to stick with just mostly, with the exception of a little bit of the pink and a little bit of the red, just metallic-y colors for fun. It's a 1-for-1 ratio, so if I put in 2 of whatever of this, I gotta put 2 of whatever in this. So on here, and it's just because it's so easy to measure, I've got drams and I'm gonna do 2 and 2, and if I need to do a second batch, I can. But I'm going to start with that because actually I think that's what I did for the big guys for my testers. It was 2 and 2, and it was more than enough. I can always come back and add in a bit more. This is a nothing happens. Nothing's going to happen to these particular. You know what? I probably could. No, I'm going to measure it separately so I don't mess up. Once you combine them together, then that's when they start interacting and start having their little chemical reaction. So I like to measure them separately first. If you feel like you're good enough to measure it all in 1 cup and do 2 and then add 2 more to make it 4, by all means. This one is a thicker, and this one's much thinner, so I like pouring the thinner into the thicker. And there is a little bit of a smell, so make sure you do work in some sort of a ventilated area. It's the B side. Has a little bit more of an odor. Not bad. It really isn't bad. And I'm not going to worry about reusing a cup, so I'm just going to throw that away because I got a whole bunch more. Really make sure you mix it up. You want to make sure that you get it all blended, otherwise it's not going to do its thing. So you've got to make sure the A and the B is completely coated well. There is bubbles, but I didn't seem to have a problem with the bubbles in mine, and because we've got so many little doodads in here, I'm pretty good with it. So let's see. I wasn't concerned at all with the bubble issue on my first trial run with this, and they seem to be bubbling out. So maybe if I tap, I'm gonna put this on the side here. The bubbles are kind of popping. There's still a ton there. It seems like as they come to the surface, they're popping. So maybe as I pour it in. Okay, so I'm gonna do the big guy first because I may have to make a whole bunch more. And I'm just gonna pour it right into the center. And this used all of this particular, this is the biggest guy though. This used it all. Yeah, I want to make sure I don't overfill into my space here because I still have to put this guy in. I'm going to be very careful. I do want to embed all of these. I don't want to have these sticking out too much. Now, you really can't see the diamond dust I put in the bottom there. They're kind of hiding. So, shift this over so it's right in the center. And there we go. That's number one. I'm going to have to add some more and create some more. So we're going to let that sit. These do take about 2 days to fully set. So we'll see what they look like in a couple of days. I'm going to go ahead and keep mixing these together, adding, probably going to do 4. No, I don't want to make this too big. I'm going to keep on doing it in 2 and 2 because I don't want to overfill these. I am going to reuse this 1 cup though. Well, there's still a little bit left. I can get some in here. Good things and bad things. I think they're awesome. I love the fact that this doesn't dry super fast. So I have some ability to kind of go in here and play with it. And so I really am making sure that I kind of like the way they're aligned with the top, which is what I'm considering the hole up here at the top. That's my top layer. The little clear beads that I was using, so the diamond dust and the little circles, because they're clear, when I put the resin in there, like the big guy, it got completely lost. The only other one that I did that one in was this guy. So for both of these, because it was a clear, you're not going to see any of the background. But I do like the way the spokes turned out on this guy. That looks really cool. All the other ones, the white, the silver, and the bronzy pearls, they all showed up phenomenal. I really like this one, this the glass glitter and sterling. It almost looks like it's just got sparkles behind it. It's really pretty looking. And then because I have, and I still do, I have a lot of casting stuff left over. A little goes a long way. I went ahead and pulled out, and I really like the way that the starburst worked, and I like the layers, especially the way that this one turned out. So I made a couple more really fast just by punching out some of the foil paper, and it looks phenomenal. It looks like it's really cool. I didn't worry about putting a center, except I did put a little center bead into two, and I just used some of the eyelet outlet pearls and little faceted gems. Just using scrapbook supplies, guys, nothing fancy here. Some of the other things are little charms or buttons or, you know, a cross charm. This was a metal embellishment that has a sticker on the back that I pulled the sticker part off. You know, so I'm not like going out and buying super fancy things. I even pulled out some just metal bits and pieces here that I thought, maybe, but I didn't get to using them. So I could have used this for a center if I wanted to. I just didn't notice it. I could use these for the centers of flowers. There's many ways that you could do this. You could go in at this point and kind of sprinkle some stuff in and see what happens, but I'm going to leave them the way they are. I'm going to give them a couple hours to set, and we'll come back and take a look at them. So we are at about 5 hours past the time, maybe 4 hours past when I did it. And they are set to the point where if I put something in, it would damage the look of the resin. They are firm, they are hold, and most of my little trick on the back about putting a little bit of foil with the glue worked. The only ones it didn't work for was this one, and maybe it just didn't seal all the way, and this guy. Everybody else it worked, and I think, no, they lead from the center. Everybody else, I have no stickiness whatsoever on the back. It's completely sealed true. At this point though, if you stuck your finger in the middle of it, it would leave a fingerprint. But look how pretty that is. Let me get that really close. You really can't tell that it looks like it's something else. Now, for some of these guys, I think even for this big guy here, and eventually, even though this is still kind of tacky and sticky, this guy was like that initially, and it's completely dried. So it will completely harden and dry and be a very firm resin. It just takes a few more days for it to get there. So they're not there yet. I wouldn't stick my finger. I wouldn't take the poker and try and shift anything. You've got a little bit of time to do that once you pour it, but then it's done. So at this point, you really don't want to mess with sticking your finger in this. So right now, while they're still kind of in drying mode, I'm going to go through and I'm going to add in some gems. At this point, what I have is I have some of these gems from Eyelet Outlet. Some of them are on a strand like this, and as you can see here, and I'm really kind of keeping with the metallic. I've got some pure silver ones. I've got some kind of brown ones. I've got this strand. I've got some individuals. And I do have some other colors, but because I really didn't pull, except for the red, I mean, I could pull the red on here, but I don't want it to be like, hey, this is red. So I'm not going to pull these guys because I just don't want to go that direction with them. So I'm really sticking with the metallic-y colors of this. Now, to make sure that these completely hold and they're not going to fall off because they're going to get worn and the rest of it's going to get really impacted with the resin, I am going to make sure that I do glue them down. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my mixed media glue to kind of shift them down and to glue them in. Because these guys are so small and it's going to be such a tight fit to get around, I think I'm just going to leave them as is. I'm not going to mess with trying to get into these little guys right here. It's just not worth it. These big guys though, these ones here, each one of these little dots here is just begging to have something put on it and to be sparkly and to be cool. And this big guy, I'm going to see if I can get something to go around the edge. I'm really liking this one, but I kind of like this. Let's see if it's going to work. It's on a strand, and I have worked with it to do that before. I have like wound it around a corner. So I'm just gonna play because I can always pull it back off. And I think this is big enough that I can get this to kind of go around the circle. Yeah, it's gonna work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a tiny bit of bead glue, this mixed media glue, just enough so that it'll stay put. And this is a pretty firm, strong glue, but I don't want to overdo it because I don't want to take away the look of what I've got going on. Alright, so I added the glue all the way around. I am going to kind of clean it up a teeny weeny bit. And yes, this will shift some, but that's probably not a bad thing because I want it to catch. I want to be able to like put it in place. So lay it in as best as you can, or as best as I can. And I think this is about the biggest circle I would be, or the smallest circle I would be able to do without really messing up the look of, I don't think I can do a corner this tight. All right, so at this point, just kind of straighten yourself out, get in there and really kind of fix your corners. Try and make it as best of a circle as you can. There it is. All right, so that's about as cool. All right, so for one of the small ones, because I added this guy in and I put this gem, I'm gonna go back and add some of this gem, and I'm gonna do my very best. Got a little, just whatever piece of paper, just to add a tiny little bit of adhesive, just enough to stick the gem on each of the flower petals. And I'm gonna do the same thing to the other one that's just like this that I did with this pearl. And do the same method. Don't want to overdo the amount of glue that's there, just a tiny bit. I am going to go ahead and put that onto this guy. I am leaving the top open because I want to leave it open to put something through. If I want to hang this on a chain and make it a true pendant, I am going to leave it open. If I ever go back and want to turn this into an embellishment for something, then I can, but I don't want to close myself off to maybe turning this into something else at this point. These little guys, I think I'm going to leave plain. I'm not sure about this guy yet. I think I want to leave this guy plain. I don't think I want to add anything to that one. So let's go with the smaller size on this guy because it matches the one that's in the center here. All right, so with both of the, well, with this guy, I really didn't have a choice of what size because it's only one size to match the one that's in there. This one, I use the, I don't know if I use the same size or the smaller size. I think I use the same size. It almost looks magnified in the resin, which is kind of cool. And then the other ones, I think I'm gonna leave plain. I like the way they are. I don't think I could fit one of these on the strand around the corner, as I think this is the smallest size I could really kind of fit. I mean, it's not perfect as it is, and I still feel like I want to mess with it and try and fix it. But if I feel like if I mess with it too much, I'm going to mess up the resin, and I don't want to do that. So I think that's as good as that one's going to get. And beyond that, I think they're just as is, and you got to give them another couple of days before they're done. At this point, the only other thing that you could do is you could add a chain to them. If you want to make these an embellishment, you could put another dot on here. You could definitely put dots on these ones if you want, but I'm going to leave them as is. I was very careful not to overfill each of these cups, but not to underfill them. So I didn't want to do it to the point where it looked like it was dipped in. I wanted to make sure that it was like almost level with the level of the flower here, or level with, it almost looked like it was encased, that it was right up to the top. That was one mistake that I made with these guys, is I didn't fill them up enough. And so they're staying there, but they're not encased in anything. And I definitely wanted to have these look like they were encased in something. If I was going to change anything, I would have added a different background to the back of this guy to make it more brilliant. I probably would have done this one because these guys don't show up. So anyway, that's what we've got. I think they're really cool. I'm really loving it. I almost want to turn, like, these are great pendants and necklaces, and I'm trying to decide which one I want to wear next. So thanks for stopping by, and please subscribe. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.